All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we want to welcome you back to another great episode of From the Grid to the Rim and everything in between. As in how we talk about everything that's in relation to sports. I'm Darylyn Brown, my co-host Big Ken Fry here. We got also our big uncle in the house, Big Monte Brown as well in the house. Just we all back at it. We're excited to kind of be here. So all we do is like to talk about is just anything relevant in our point of view, of course. And today we want to just kind of talk about the impact of the NIL and some of its pros and cons. I know it's a long time coming. I know we're late to the party, but it doesn't hurt to discuss about how it still impacts about what it's doing today, what it could have done in the past, and maybe what it's going to do in the future. Who knows? But before we kind of jump into that, it's been a big day in the sports world, of course. We have a lot of news coming out. First off, before we get this thing started, we want to just extend our prayers to Bronny James and LeBron James and his family. Of course, he had a cardiac arrest. That is really nothing to play with. And by God's grace, it looks like everything is going to be okay with him as he was came out of ICU earlier today. So we definitely want to extend our thoughts and prayers to him. We also want to extend our condolences as news just broke regarding Chicago Blackhawks owner Ricky Wirtz, owner of the team since, I believe, 2007. I believe in this time of that storied franchise, he's taken the Blackhawks to at least 3 Stanley Cups during his time. And so we want to just extend our condolences to him and his family during that time. So there was a lot, some things that we definitely want to extend our prayers to, but we also want to extend some accolades to some accomplishments and some good news that we also received in the sports world. And today it seemed like a payday for a great many great people in the world of sports. Breaking, we just hear about Justin Herbert agreeing to a 5-year deal worth $2.5 million. Now if not one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Well deserving of it, though. We already knew a big payday was coming his way at some point in time. We also see Diggs, Cowboys corner, getting payday, $97 million. A payday for him. We see Celtics Brown get the richest payday in history, almost $300 million, a super max deal. So people, it seemed like it was just a payday everywhere for a great many people. We see Saquon Barkley finally just kind of let loose with his situation, and he finally got a small payday. I don't think it's what he wanted. I think most of this kind of benefited the Giants more than him, being that there's still a franchise tag lingering potentially next year with him. But at the end of the day, I like his mentality. I like it that he's about team ball. I wouldn't have any other way, even though they go up against our boys the first game of the season, but I wouldn't have any other way because I don't want zero excuses. I like Saquon when Saquon is not playing.
I like
love
him
that
too.
He's playing.
Quality person, just plays for the team.
Exactly.
Like, guy.
Exactly. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So pay that man and let's go. Let's make it happen. So other than that, those are just kind of some news just coming out in the sports world today. Unfortunately, we had a loss, we had a concern, and we also had some paydays. But at the end of the day, this is what From the Grid to the Rim is all about. Just hitting you with a little bit of sports, which kind of leads into segue as we were talking about Bronny James and college and things like that. We want to kind of jump into in our late discussion and get into it in regards to NIL money and how that impacts our college world today. Where is it going? How could things looked in the past if the NIL was established? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the NIL rules and regulations were finally established around in 2021. I believe everything pretty much took into place where players' name and likeness and image rights were extended to them based on branding, and if people wanted to use them, they can use that money or whatever the case may be. I believe the regulations that apply to that may be in regards to anything quid pro quo, pardon me, quid pro quo, meaning that they can't make money off of, because you do something for me, I do something for you, or anything of that nature. And they just can't take any handouts or money straight from the university themselves. But if a sponsor or somebody, or I don't care if it's Raisin Bran or Wheaties, want to come and offer them an endorsement deal, then they should be allowed to take that money or allow their image to grow in whatever way they see fit, which I think is pretty good for the player themselves. But we'll talk about some pros and cons. But first off, before I start on my end, I'll go ahead and pass it to Monte Brown and see if he wants to go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's been a long time coming. I remember discussing this, whether athletes should get paid, college athletes should get paid, for years. My high school years, we talked about it. And I always thought there should be some kind of compensation. I know the argument is, well, they're getting their scholarships, but at the same time, they need to have the same rights as other college students. And these universities profit off of what they do on the basketball court, field, what have you. So, yeah, it's well earned and well deserved. And I'm glad they're finally doing this. I do understand why some people would disagree with it. One thing that I understand is it takes away from maybe the focus of grades. Maybe high school athletes or college athletes would look more at the money instead of their academics. One thing that I did read earlier today was there can be a safety issue. Olivia Dunn, the gymnast from LSU, she doesn't go to her classes anymore because of her NIL money. She gets a lot of it, I believe. It's up to $3 million a year on that.
Yeah, she's up there.
Yeah, it's way up there. So there can be a safety issue with that, and I kind of understand that. Male athletes tend to have a bigger advantage over female athletes because basketball, men's basketball and football generate more revenue for universities. But those are just some of the major cons that, yeah, that's going to happen. It's inevitable that is going to be a con. But there are a lot of pros to it as well. I mean, they get to make their own money. Some of them don't get scholarships. So if they do have an opportunity to earn from a car dealership commercial or Nike, I mean, they could take that opportunity.
Yeah. I see the pros and cons in this as well. I think there is, overall, I do agree that I'm with you and Duwayne. I think it's, this has been coming for a long time, man. We've been talking about this forever. But I do think there is some other cons besides to what you had already mentioned. Some people, I'm not saying it's true, but like everyone has opinions, of course, but some people think it could mess up college sports because money is involved. And some people like the purity of college sports because there isn't money involved with college sports. So I know there's people who think that. Like I said, then there's also, I think it was happening anyway, because even before the NIL deals, if players had a chance to transfer to a bigger college to get, a better chance of getting drafted, they were going to do it. So some people think that can kind of mess up things too, because now they're leaving these smaller colleges, to, go to a bigger college for. And the transfer portal and NIL is doing research are kind of connected together. I mean, because at first I wasn't sure how that was working, but like I said, like Duwayne said, the universities can't give them money, but there's better chances of them making more money at a bigger university, obviously, like a USC or a Michigan or Alabama or, Oklahoma or whoever, all these big name schools, Texas, than going to somewhere else. But I'm for it, but those are some other cons I've heard of, like looking things up and just talking with people in general. Like because some people don't like watching professional sports at all because of certain things about money. So I like it because I love the game, whether they're making money or not. I love watching the game, man, because I'm all hyped up on that and what players can do. I'm amazed by what they can do week in and week out. So that just gets me all hyped up about sports, man. That's why I love it. But I'm for it. And like Duwayne said, when we were texting each other last week and we were blowing each other up at work, I mean, we were talking about the pros and cons, and once he mentioned my boys right here, the Fab Five, that was the winner chicken dinner for me because, you know, yeah, those jokers, man, I looked it up. Their freshman year, they brought in over $4 million for the University of Michigan. They didn't see a dime.
I'm saying though, exactly. I'm saying though, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
so that's a selling point right there because I mean it's unfair to bring in that amount of money to an organization and you don't see any of it. So yeah, that was kind of that definitely got me sold on that. I was already kind of leaning that direction anyway, but once I read that, I was like, dude, and think about it, not all the Fab Five players made it to the NBA. The big three did, of course, Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Juwan Howard, but Jimmy King and Ray Jackson. Jimmy King had a brief stint in the NBA for I believe 64 games for 2 seasons, but he didn't get that much out of the NBA. I know Ray Jackson was the CBA Player of the Year, and I'm surprised he never played in the NBA, being the CBA Player of the Year. How do you be the CBA Player of the Year and not get a game in the NBA? That still blows my mind. But I know those guys probably wanted that money because they didn't. Unfortunately, and God bless them, they didn't make the same amount of money like those other Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, and Juwan Howard did. So they could have used some of that NIL money for what they're bringing into the University of Michigan, being the Fab Five. So, yeah, I feel like they kind of got messed over on that one. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. And it's two things. So we talk about NIL, and then we talk about the transfer portal. And with the way I gotta look at it is that no matter how you look at it, there's going to be pros and cons to both, and that you can't please anybody in these two circumstances. NIL, I truly believe, if you're going to make money off of me, I should at least see some of it. You see what I'm saying? Yes, education is important. Let's not get that twisted. But we're talking about you making money off of me.
Right.
So at the end of the day, so you're telling me I can't see all the
you're doing it.
We're bringing into the fold. I can't see a dime of that. I can't see, but you're using my name. But if the transfer portal existed and I just said, you know what, you guys are making too much money, but they're offering such and such over here, whatever the case may be, or you know what, if you guys ain't gonna try to pay me, then I'm just gonna go ahead and quit early. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There's pros and cons to if you look at everything. So NIL. So what is the bigger downside if there was no NIL money? College NCAA makes a lot of money.
They make crazy money.
And we're talking about, let's just keep it 100 about the big schools, okay? Right. The Power Fives, the big schools, okay? Whatever big school that there is, the marketing and all that stuff. And you bring a big, let me hit on Bronny James for a minute. Bronny James goes to USC. He could have went to Kansas. He could have went to a blue blood, Carolina, a Kentucky, or anywhere. He chose USC. He chose to stay in Cali. USC ain't no program to play with. They're good. They're a good program. They're or a high quality mid major.
Oh, they're good.
The case may be.
They're
but
dangerous.
You know, but you don't think USC didn't know if Bronny James was going to at least play there 1 year, their freshman year, how much money they were going to make just on shirt sales alone, ticket sales alone? They about to pack out their arenas. You know what I'm saying? They were, and for him to choose that, man, they knew they were going to make all kinds of money. You know what I'm saying? Probably putting him on billboards in LA or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All around Southern California, posters and everything like that. Yeah. And you don't think that boy has an NIL deals already lined up before he made that decision? Come on, man. I mean, let's keep it real.
He's got $7.5 million in NIL deals.
Exactly.
From Nike and Beats by Dre. Those are huge.
Right. So imagine if the NIL was not in place. USC stands to make boatloads of money, you know what I'm saying, just from him alone.
Right. Just from his name.
Yeah.
Just from him alone. And USC mostly gets a lot of their money from their football program.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But just from him alone. You know what I'm saying? And you don't think that's not fair to Bronny James, knowing that he's been coming up, through his father and everything. That boy was highly touted probably as a 5-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, players deserve, if you're going to use my face, the brand even stems from my father, my build, my shape, my work ethic, my anything, whatever the case may be. Oh no, you're going to pay me. You're going to pay me. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I'm definitely going to go to school. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, so yeah, they'd be like, yeah, but it's just jacking people up and all the money, and now they ain't focused on school or whatever the case may be. But can you win? You can't win for losing with NIL, because guess what stands in the way of NIL? Guess what? If you oh, okay, so if you're gonna treat me bad in college, that's cool. I'll just walk over here to the G League.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go ahead and walk over here to the G League. G League is standing here waiting. It's another option to train and facilitate growing potential and growing those players who have a shot at the NBA and grow their potential and get them exposure to and building within the NBA mainframe, and them being NBA ready by draft time. You know what I'm saying? So you can't win for losing. You got to start paying these players. You're making millions, because almost billions in advertisement, and all because some of these highly talented players are coming to your program, and yet they don't deserve to get paid. You know what I'm saying? You're making money off of them. So they can't get endorsement deals or whatever the case may be. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is, even with the NIL, I'm not even sure if the playing field is even all that level. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm thinking that.
But it helps. It helps. It helps. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Does it affect smaller schools and mid-majors? Sure, absolutely. But those who don't look for that aspect of it to get those deals or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to sit here and underestimate mid-majors by no means of the imagination, because we saw what mid-majors did in the tournament.
Absolutely.
We saw what mid-majors did in the tournament. Why were they so successful in the tournament? Because everybody wants to try all these highly 5-star recruits, try to go to the Blue Bloods and all the big schools and everything.
They stuck together.
A lot of these mid-majors were building their program, establishing chemistry, and having a lot of these players grow through their systems for so many years, and not leaving college after their first or second year. A lot of these players were there for 3 and 4 years. So when you have that established, you establish chemistry. Chemistry can make up a lot of defects for what others may have. You may have the star power, but we have chemistry, and that can hurt a lot of powerful teams. You know, whether it be college football, whether it be volleyball, whether it be because they grew, they established a system, they established a rapport, they established a work ethic, they established a camaraderie, a community. You know what I'm saying? That's a selling point for them when they go out on recruitments. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, you just can't win for losing. You really can't.
Yeah, you're not going to make everyone happy. And you have a good point. I mean, even before NIL came out, and I think we already mentioned this early in the show, but I'll say it again, like, people were already transferring. I mean, they want to go somewhere where they can get more recognition to make it to the next level, or just, so this is already happening already. So
yeah, you can't win.
People are just using that as something to not like about it, but it was already going down. Yeah. But yeah, I like the smaller schools, and you still right what I was thinking about. I mean, yeah, this March Madness, man, the mid majors. I mean, those smaller programs tore it up. So yeah, they do have an advantage. I mean, yeah, these guys might be going there for their endorsements and et cetera, and whatever reasons they got, for themselves. But but like you said, a good coach, a good program, guys sticking together, and them building something together, like that can beat superstars. Especially with too many superstars on one team, and there's arguing going on.
Exactly, and that's what wins championships these days. Because my thing is, I'm not going to lose. I don't want to lose money over betting out on a mid-major, because everybody goes with them big old powerful schools. We're all filling out our brackets and everything like that, and we want to maybe see a Arizona or a Kansas get up in there and things like that. But we're always surprised by one or two. I don't care if it's George Mason. I don't care if it's Butler. I don't care if it's Princeton or whoever. We're always going to be surprised by somebody. And a lot of those programs, as you said, seen, they developed a program. A lot of kids stayed in those programs or whatever, in spite of not even getting NIL looked at or whatever the case may be, but they are building a program. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
so the bigger blue bloods, the bigger schools, Ohio States, the Indianas or whatever, they can offer NIL endorsements to these players and package that with the recruiting and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's what I'm saying. But those don't guarantee championships either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and everybody's goal should be, when I get recruited to your school, I foresee a championship. But that's what the NIL does. It can have that effect in losing that championship mentality. All I know is I'm going in as a freshman. I'm going to be paid at least $3.5 million based on this endorsement. You know what I'm saying? So, it could probably, take out the mentality, decrease the mentality of work ethic, feeling like, you need me more than I need you type mentality or anything like that. We understand.
Yeah, that could create some tension with that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what
may not be team
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you can't win for losing. You can't win for losing. I mean, who wins? You know what I'm saying? The university is already winning because you got recruited. So now a lot of people want to come see you play. So their ticket sales and things go up, merchandising, or for the university merchandising and whatever the case may be. But what do you get? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, you get a full ride, maybe a little money or whatever the case may be, a little stipend here and there, whatever the case may be. But they making millions off of you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Whether it be both college football or basketball or whatever major sport. I mean, like I said, who were we talking about earlier about the gymnastics girl?
Yes, Olivia Dunn. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
you said that reports came out that like she wasn't focused on her school and decreased things like that.
Well, she's more about safety.
Her it was a safety issue because
she had money. People were trying to probably hit her up.
And she's not attending class at LSU anymore, just for safety reasons, and that's one disadvantage of it.
That is probably a disadvantage, probably so. But maybe a lot of people start thinking, when it comes to college basketball, I've already got these endorsements, even though I already signed my letter of intent. The G League keeps calling me because they're going to offer me another $500,000 just to go ahead and sign on or whatever. So, I'm just going to go ahead and forego my senior year. That's what happened with Gigi Jackson. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, he decided to go to the G League, jump to the G League. He was on his way to Carolina. I was looking forward to that. You know what I'm saying? Top 5 prospect. But at the end of the day, he made his decision. So it's in NIL. It's just you can't win for losing. When it comes to college recruiting, you can't win for losing. When it comes to the transfer portal, you can't win for losing. No. The crazy thing about that transfer portal was that they can transfer out, go to a bigger school, but playing time is not guaranteed. You may become that much closer to a championship, but you may not and help with something, but it's nothing guaranteed. But now there's options after the transfer portal. Oh, okay. Well, I went in. Now there's options where, I went and tested the waters in the NBA, not feeling it. Don't think I'm not going to get picked up till second round, or I may not be drafted. So I'm just going to go ahead and come back. But instead of coming back to my school, I get to choose now what school I want to go to. Yep. Nobody wins in these. Nobody is winning in this. It's just. It's just trying to create a level playing field for both the college student, the universities, so that way they can continue to maintain good recruiting, good attendance to the games and things like that, while they make money off their ticket sales and things like that, and continue to be a prominent name, and allowing that flexibility for these kids to get paid, through endorsements. So, I mean, like I said, there's just no way to say who's winning and who's losing out of this. You could see where the university loses out, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to recruitment in the G League or Olympics or whatever the case may be, if that's where they want to make the jump to, or instead of, I mean, we mentioned that Tiger Woods. What if NIL money was sitting there when Tiger Woods was at Stanford?
Yeah. Wow.
I'm not sure. I think it's possible his dad may have really had a long talk with him about jumping pro. You know what I'm saying? Right after high school. Who would have known? You know what I'm saying? but we will never know that. You know what I'm saying? About the Fab Five. What would NIL be if they were still around? What would NIL be if back when Ohio State and Notre Dame's and USC's were trying, Alabama's and stuff, all before the NIL hit 2021. I mean, how many players would have got endorsed and paid, been in barbecue commercials in their local area and all kinds of stuff, man? Who would have known?
Yeah.
So I mean, golly, I mean, I think they just, if you're gonna use their face and use their image, and these players are bringing the crowds in, you pay them, what I'm saying, or allow them the opportunity to get paid.
And to piggyback off of scholarships, it also helps the players that don't get a scholarship, walk-ons.
Yeah.
A good example of that, quarterback from Georgia, Stetson Bennett. He was a walk-on. So I'm sure he had the pressure and stress of, how am I going to pay for my college? He got the opportunity. He started, helped him win a national championship, getting
2 national championships.
1.4 million now in NIL money. You pay for his college.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hello.
That's a real good point. Here's another thing too. Is like, hey man,
it's everybody.
People that don't like it, they can dislike it if they want. But here's the thing: like, if their son or their daughter was getting the chance to get the money, there's no way in hell they're going to say no. I think some people talk about this stuff, or like, because most of us can't play college ball. Like, let's be honest. Like, only like the top 5% of athletes go to college, and like the 1 or 2% go to the pros. I mean, so
yes,
not 95% of us ain't going to make it there anyway. But they're just hating. I won't say hating is the word, but they just don't have the opportunity. If their kid had opportunity, there's no way they're going to say no. Like, if my dad, if I was going to play at University of Michigan back in the day, my dad ain't going to say no to that. My dad's going to like, heck yeah, take that money. Yeah, they just don't have the opportunity for that. And here's another crazy thing about the transfer portal. I looked it up. I've never heard of it happening. Maybe you guys have, but when players put their name in the transfer portal, the coaches can say no. I never heard of that happening. Why would he want to say no for someone who wants to leave? But if they say no, they have to go to the athletic director. And if they say no, they have to go somewhere higher than that, like the administration, like maybe the dean or something. I don't know.
Well,
I just looked that up.
I don't think we endured a lot of those instances because I guess nobody wants to be the bad guy out of this.
Yeah, that's crazy. Plus, they have that rule.
And plus, I mean, the coaches want to run the cleanest program that they can.
Exactly.
And coaches are about winning. If you're coaching on the Division I level and you're not about winning, you don't need to be coaching. So if they feel like a player is just going to be disgruntled, wants to back out of their letter of intent or whatever the case may be, those coaches will happily oblige because they don't want to. The last thing they want is a spectacle in their program. You know what I'm saying? So
that'll be high news. Yeah.
Right. So they're not a lot of coaches are just smart enough just to say, hey,
no, if you want to go, I'm gonna let you go, man.
Here, but if you feel like you need to find a challenge elsewhere, then nobody wants to create a circus in the news about not being released out of their letter of intent or transferring. So that's why we don't see that very much. So I'm sure they can say no. Sense. You know what I'm saying? But those few instances, I think it's because maybe because there's something under the table going on, and the coaches feel like they're getting a raw deal out of it, and they know something's been brewing. So that's maybe why they may say no, but it's few and far between.
I just never heard of it. But I know the rules out there. I just never heard of no one saying no, though. And I think they're only allowed to do it once for a 4-year Division I college.
Nobody wants that. Yeah, nobody wants that spectacle, bro. Nobody wants that spectacle. So, but
what think about high school players getting money? Like, what do you think about like a high school player for football, say here, anywhere in any of the 50 states? That right? I mean, they can get
if they're
money
good enough to take that. Sure, it's a risk, but I think, like I said, if they should have the same rights as any other athlete to earn, long as the university or the high school, for that matter, aren't paying for it, aren't paying them. If it comes from a car dealership or anything like that, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too, man. I mean, but one thing I looked up too also was, I guess this NIL thing is like state approved. like 39 or out of 50 states have it. So I think there's some states that still haven't approved it. That's the way. Unless I misread that. There's 39 states that have NIL like legislation in their state laws about players making NIL money. So I think that's interesting too. So I wonder what states still haven't come around in the past 2 years.
And I mean, and the downside to that is that you can expect a lot of those schools not to be, affect their recruitment unless they just want to go to that, unless they just want to go to that winning program. If they have winning programs, story programs, and they saw themselves there for a long time, then sure, you know what I'm saying? But but to not establish NIL rules and regs at your in your state will then hurt you in the long run.
Exactly. You're missing out on a lot of players going there, man.
As the money gets bigger and you risk the recruitment in your state becoming lower and lower.
Yeah, I wonder how recent that was. I looked it up yesterday, but I wonder if that's something very, very recent or that's something from a while back. But I just looked this up yesterday, so I'm assuming it's recent. But
wow, we can go for hours on this subject, y'all.
Yeah, we can. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and prepare to close out. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say thank you for allowing us to come and just kind of share our thoughts with you. I know we're kind of light years behind the NIL talk, but at the end of the day, it's still going to impact us one way or another, whether it's now or in the future. And it's either going to get better or for worse, for better or for worse, for that matter. But it's just a good dialogue and a good topic of discussion. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and get ready and close out. So any brief parting words before we close out, gentlemen?
Hey, like always, go ahead, Monte. Go ahead.
Like, comments, give us your ideas, your thoughts, some suggestions on the show. What you think of the NIL? If you agree, disagree, think we're crazy, or what have you. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm interested in what people's opinions are about NIL also. And hey, our next shows are coming up for college and NFL is right around the corner. So our next show is going to be about college and college football coming up and NFL. And I know Duwayne has an idea about doing some what's that thing you got? What's it called when you guys have your own little game called
fantasy football.
Fantasy football. I used to do that, but it's been a long time since I've done it. I think I got to get back into that. Yeah, but it's been a while.
All right. Well, let's do it. All right, gentlemen, let's close out. Thank you for joining on this episode. We will talk to you soon. Salute, be blessed, and see you on the next episode from the Grid to the Rim and everything in between. Have a good one, y'all.
Peace.
All right.